Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you're here. Well, if you believe in pre-trib or mid-trib or pre-wrath or post-trib rapture, well, you're right, because the Bible talks about all four of those scenarios. So today we're going to talk about just a couple of differences. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this particular difference, but I think you're going to find it very interesting. With the bride that goes up pre-trib, the groom remains on the father's property, and she is brought to him. He does not leave his father's estate. Look at how God brought Eve to Adam in Genesis 2:22. Look at how Rebekah was brought to Isaac in Genesis chapter 24, verses 61 through 67. Look at how the woman at the well was brought to Jesus in John chapter 4, verses 5 through 8. And for those of you who think that the woman at the well was a harlot, you have not studied the word deep enough. She was a very respectable woman and highly regarded. One of the tips to that is that all the men of the city followed her out to the well in the heat of the day when she says, "Hey, come listen to this man I've been talking to." All right, if she was a harlot, there is no way that the men of the city would have dropped everything, their businesses, their work, and gone out to the well. Okay, so people, we just need to think about these things. And we've got a video on the woman at the well, so you can look that up. So another difference here is you'll notice in those situations, there is no shout made to the bride. Nobody has to shout at her for the father to present her to Jesus. There is no resurrection of the dead at the pre-trib rapture. And however, we do know there is one at the main harvest, the mid-trib rapture. Okay, let's take a look at the church's rapture at mid-trib. Jesus leaves his father's property, he leaves his estate, he leaves heaven to come into the cloud to collect the father's property, and the property has come up to the cloud to meet him. And there's a shout of an archangel. All right, so that word shout, it is the Greek word Strong's G2752, and it's kaluma. It's a cry of incitement, a command, either that by which animals are roused and urged on, such as horses by charioteers, or it could mean a shout by which a signal is given to men, or to rowers by the master of a ship, or like soldiers by a commander. It's a loud summons, a trumpet call. So you see, the church is shouted. They're the trumpet blasts. They are urged on. They are called like an army is, because they are God's army. That's why as soon as they are raptured at mid-trib, Revelation 12:5, you will see that they are the ones who throw down the red dragon and his remaining 2/3 of his wicked angels. Okay, let's take a look at the gleanings, which are the remnant. This happens at pre-wrath. They are snatched by the reapers, taken to the barn, and they remain in their mortal bodies. So you can read about that in the parable of the wheat and tares. That's Matthew chapter 13, verses 25 through 30. And you can read about that in 1 Thessalonians 5, verses 1 through 3. So you see, there are significant differences between these three harvests. The first fruits is the bride, the main harvest is the church, and the gleanings are the remnant. So the remnant is taken pre-wrath. God removes them out of the crossfire to destroy the wicked. Okay, now what is this at the post-trib that people see? Well, they're not crazy. They really do see something, and it's referred to a lot in the Old Testament. So this is the ingathering, post-trib. It's a process, a journey of the mortal remnant trekking back to their nation from which they've been scattered or sold to or carted off to. And in fact, think of the book of Ruth. Naomi and Ruth although there are so many similarities between the pre-trib rapture and the mid-trib rapture, there's something very unique about that post-trib ingathering. And Boaz is a type and shadow of the Father. And we've done, I think we've done a video on that. I can't remember. If not, I'll look through there and do a video on that. So Naomi and Ruth, they were scattered, and they are the remnant. They missed the pre-trib, they missed the mid-trib. They saw the beast come and sit on the throne, and they saw the beast turn on Israel and go after them, and they fled. And Ruth and Naomi, they lost their husbands, their son. You know, it's very sad. But this is what happens to the remnant. And then God is going to bring them back. They're going to make that trek back. It's a time of peace. And you can just tell by the blessing that was prayed over Ruth and Naomi when Boaz went to the gate to make that negotiation for Ruth. Okay, now take a look at Exodus 23:16 and 34:22. It talks about the Feast of Weeks and the ingathering. All right, that's what that is, an ingathering of the fruit. Well, that's the remnant, that's the gleanings that got a little beat up, scraped up. And several things happen to different groups in the group called the remnant. And you can find all that in the scriptures. And now that the four groups are separated out, you can dig in and do your own studying, and it will make it so much easier when you're reading a passage for you to just think about it, do a few word studies, and you're going to know which group God is talking about. There's a lot of working parts to Bible prophecy, but when you get a few of the basics down, it makes it so much easier. So I hope today's little study saved you years of trying to figure this out, because this is what it took me and our team here that study Bible prophecy together. So I hope this sets you ahead of the sleepy church, and that it helps you prepare yourself to be the bride. Okay, I'll talk to you later. Bye.